What's going on, YouTube? This is the SG1 Sports SEC football channel, and in this video we're going to break down the entire 2019 recruiting class for the Florida Gators. We will show you every player that they signed and then break it down by position. We'll be doing this for every single SEC team here on the channel, and if you're new to the channel, if you're an SEC fan, please subscribe. We are going to be bringing a lot of exclusive content for SEC teams here on this channel that you won't see on the main channel. So again, if you are a fan of any SEC team or just want to learn more about these teams, please subscribe to the channel. We are hoping to hit 1,000 subscribers here maybe by the end of the week, as we can get a little bit closer each and every day. So Florida, what did they need? Really didn't need immediate help at any position. I thought maybe they should add some depth on the offensive line and at the linebacker position, and for the future they do need some skill players. They have several guys here to be gone after this next season, but let's just go ahead and look at each player that they added, starting with the players that have already enrolled. Chris Still, a 4-star cornerback. They also added a 4-star outside linebacker, a 4-star offensive tackle. Jalen Jones, a dual threat quarterback, also a 4-star, and Jaden Hill, a 4-star cornerback. So 2 of their top 5 recruits that enrolled early are cornerbacks, and they've had some really good guys in the secondary here in recent years at Florida. So those 5 have already enrolled. Then we had 4 more players also already on campus, ready for spring football. You've got a 4-star offensive tackle, a 3-star offensive guard, a 3-star outside linebacker, and a 3-star offensive tackle. And something interesting about this Florida class, they finished in the top 10 recruiting according to 24/7 Sports, which is where all of these ratings are coming from. But they didn't sign a single 5-star. They added a lot of high-level 4-stars, but no 5-stars. So I did find that interesting. But let's now move on to players that have not enrolled, but they have signed with the Gators. There is another cornerback right there at the top, a 4-star corner. You add also a 4-star defensive end, a 4-star outside linebacker, a 4-star tight end, and a 4-star wide receiver. And like I said in every video, I realize that the stars don't tell the whole story, and a 3-star can be better than a 5-star, but this is all we have to evaluate these players on right now, at least until we see them in action at the college level. So moving on now, you had a 4-star inside linebacker, a 4-star offensive guard, a 4-star defensive end, a 4-star running back, and a 4-star defensive tackle. As you can see here, they have loaded up at pretty much every position, and again, I will show you exactly how many players they signed at each position, how many 4-stars, 3-stars, whatever the case may be. I will show you that in just a second as we break this thing down. But we had 6 more players that have signed with Florida. A 4-star offensive guard, another cornerback, just 3-star, a 3-star wide receiver, a 3-star offensive guard, a 3-star wide receiver, and another 3-star wide receiver. So they added a lot of receivers here in this class, and we'll show you that here coming up next. But yeah, I think they did a great job really signing players across the board, really at every position. We're going to start breaking this thing down by looking at the offense, and here's what they signed. They added a 4-star quarterback, like we talked about, Jalen Jones. It's going to be a really interesting quarterback battle between him and Emory Jones coming up next season after Felipe Franks is gone. I feel confident that Franks is going to be the starter all year in 2019, though. Also added a running back, so they get some depth there. A couple of guys, they're going to be seniors this year for them, so they did need to add someone. Maybe even would have liked to added a couple of guys, but I think they're fine there. A receiver, another position where they've got some guys that'll be graduating this season. They added 4 to boost their depth there, so they did a good job. Tight end, they added 1. Offensive line, again, that was an area where I said that they needed to add some depth, even potentially for this upcoming season. I think they lost 3 guys maybe from last year. Not necessarily all starters, but players that did contribute. So you add 7 offensive linemen. I think that is really, really good to add depth there. Like I said, not only for the immediate future, but for the years to come, because this is a transition. Florida is turning into a Dan Mullen program. This no longer Jim McElwain, so he's got to get his style of players, the players that he likes. And he did pretty well with the guys that he had last year that were not his players. So just imagine what he is going to be able to do once he gets his stamp on this program, gets his style of players, It could be something really special here at Florida. And you look at Georgia and Florida both in the SEC East, and what these programs are starting to look like. It's impressive, and the SEC East is on the rise. Even look at Tennessee. If Jeremy Pruitt can put things together, you look at the recruiting class they just had. The SEC East is getting really, really good, really, really fast. But overall, you look at this class for Florida on the offensive side of the ball. I don't have any problem with it. Maybe you'd add another running back to it, or maybe get a second 4-star wide receiver. I mean, if you want to nitpick, you could find some areas here that didn't add a center. I mean, there's really not a whole lot to complain about. I think this is a great class. I'm going to give them an A on the offensive side of the ball. Again, didn't need anything right away. Didn't need immediate help really at any position on offense or defense. I mean, perhaps, like I said, some depth on the offensive line and a linebacker, but this Florida team is locked and loaded, and they are ready for 2019. Plenty of talent already there, and I'm expecting them to have a big year. Let's move on now to the defensive side of the ball, and here's what they signed there. If you break it down by position, they added 2 4-star defensive ends and a 4-star defensive tackle. So you add 3 guys, 3 talented players on that defensive line. Possibly players, maybe 1 or 2 of them that can contribute right away, but they really didn't need much on that defensive line. They brought pretty much everyone back, so I don't think that's a big area of concern. But you look at the depth that they're building for the future, and Florida could have a very, very good defensive line for a long time if they can continue to add players like this. We talked about the linebacker position being an area where they might could use some depth right away, and they do add 4 linebackers, so a nice job there. A 4-star inside linebacker, 2 4-star outside linebackers, and a 3-star as well. So you've got guys there that can potentially 1 or 2 of them come in and play, add some depth, and just like the defensive line, add for the future, depth in future seasons. So a great job at the linebacker position, adding 4 players, and then you move on to the secondary. They didn't add any safeties, but again, with these high school players, a lot of them are going to move. You may have played corner in high school, but you're not really that good in coverage against a college football player. I mean, it's a little different going from high school to college. So a cornerback might transition to safety, or, perhaps you've got a guy that played safety in high school, but he's not big enough to play safety in college. So secondary guys move around, and so I'm not too concerned about this. I think LSU was in the exact same situation. They added several corners and no safeties, but you do add 3 4-star cornerbacks and a 3-star, so they add a lot of depth there in the secondary as well. And that's really there's been a lot of talent. If you just look at what Florida has had in the secondary in recent years, and even this upcoming season, I've been breaking down their roster and looking at stats and things. This is a really talented secondary and a really talented defense. Florida's going to have one of the top defenses in the SEC in 2019, and they just keep on adding to that depth. So I thought overall this defensive class was an A+. I mean, there's really nothing to complain about. They added, again, 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 4 in the secondary. So you are adding depth. You're adding talented players, 4-star players that can contribute right away possibly. And again, this is just a great class for Florida on this side of the ball. Offensively, yeah, again, if you want to nitpick, you might could find an area where they could have done a little bit better. But overall, this class is definitely an A. Really, really great class for Florida. And like I said, Dan Mullen is putting his stamp on this program. This Florida team, this Florida program looks to be heading in the right direction. It looked like Georgia was going to kind of run away with the East. It looked like Kirby Smart was about to just start dominating. It was going to be like Nick Saban in the West. But now all of a sudden, Dan Mullen comes to Florida, and look at what they're starting to do. And again, I think Tennessee might be on a similar path. Might take them a little bit longer. And Missouri is still hanging around. South Carolina's got a good team. The SEC East used to be kind of the laughingstock of the SEC when the West was dominating. Now all of a sudden, they're catching up, and it may not be long until the SEC East is better than the SEC West. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but who knows? It could. But again, that's our recruiting breakdown for the Florida Gators. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports SEC Football Channel.